It's already wed. See that? It's looking good, man. Okay, there you have it. So today on Project Shop, I'm gonna spend a little bit more time on this custom DIY Stator Splitter. This is the one I bought. Paid like, I think it was like 500 bucks for that. So I'm gonna see if I can replicate one and possibly make them a lot cheaper. And what I'm doing here is I'm gonna try to replicate this profile using this T-bevel. And as you can see, I got that worked out like that. And then I'm just gonna keep an eye on it. You can see I got plenty of material to take off. This one's close. Looks like it's just got a high spot there in the middle. I don't know if that's coming in there. Now, being that this one is a 16-inch thicker, that angle should actually be longer. Because I did stick with the 4 1/4 from the start of the taper down to the end of the taper. Well, actually not to the end, but a 1/4 inch back, because that taper is consistent up until there, and then the last 1/4 inch really dives down into that that angle for that cut. And as you can see, they got that really straight. So I don't know how straight when I'm done mine's gonna be, but I'm gonna try to keep it as close as possible. Before I go any further with this, I'm gonna re-verify my center. I thought on that last video, as you can see by I put an X right there, that I was already down to the finished edge, but that's not true, because we still got almost a 1/16 to work with right there, which is good. I'm gonna get this set up, re-verify my center line here, and then we'll try to get that thing died and I didn't realize it. But anyway, what I did is I sprayed the whole thing black, and I found my center, and then I actually put a 1/4 inch line here and here, and you know, I did it on both sides. And then I didn't have anything to run a center line, so what I've been doing, I don't know if you can see that, but there's actually 2 lines there, and that's what I've been going off this whole time. And this thickness here represents those 2 lines. Basically, it gave me a 1/16 to play with, so basically a 32nd on each side of the thing. The center of this is actually, this was not 1/2 inch, this was like 7/16 actually, and then the center of it is 7/32. So I didn't have anything that was 7/32, but this, with this on top of it, that edge right there gave me what I needed to find the actual center. And then it's too late for me to run the grinder, but I sat here with a file and filed that last 1/4 inch angle down, and I put a 2-part cut on there. I beveled it down, and then the last little bit I really put a thing on there, but I had like a belly in it, so I went ahead and used a file and flattened it down. It wasn't much. I probably should have just left it, but it is now true. And what I'm going to do is, you can see the line here. Well, you can't see that. Let me see the line here. Basically what I did is I took the file and I just held it on an angle to where I knew I wasn't going to dig in like that, And with the paint on there, you can just see, you know, I just kept an angle real steep, actually. Like, you know, that's what I'm filing basically. And I'm getting close. And then the last little bit is, so there's actually a 3 angle cut blade on here, or edge. So it's gradual, and then the last 1/4 inch steps down to the last like 16th, I guess you could say, or no, not even, less than that, like a 32nd. And then I'm coming in sharp on it like that, and putting a tight edge on it. And it's coming out actually really good. I was gonna wait until tomorrow and do it with the flappy wheel, but I actually enjoyed doing that by hand. And I'll put the time lapse on and do this one. It only took me a couple minutes. It didn't even take that long. Man, I think that's about as close as that blade is gonna get. I don't know if it's coming through, but I got a nice 3-step cut on there. I'm gonna go ahead and paint this one more time, and then run my 1/4 inch lines back again, and then I'm just gonna run that file down there one more time. I didn't get it super sharp, but I got a nice profile, man. It's real tight. It you know, real sharp. It gradually opens up to that 1/4 inch, and then gradually comes down to that what did I say that was, 7/16 or whatever. It's not 1/2 inch. Anyway, I'm pretty happy with that, man. It's looking nice. So I go ahead and put a little coat on here just to get my nice finish, and then the blade part's done. I'm happy with the way this came out. Looks good when I ran the T-bevel down it. It feels good in here, the way it comes together, and that ridge, like on that one, I can feel a defined thick ridge here where these come together. And I got that down nice, you know. And hopefully, you know, as long as he sends it in there straight, it should be all right. And then if it dulls, it's easy enough just to come in there with a file after so many splits, you know, just to keep it good. But I got an idea for a hardened edge, which I can, even if this has a problem here, if this wears out or bends or breaks or whatever, I got an idea for putting a hardened edge on here, and for newer ones and bigger ones too. So I'm gonna finish this up and then call it a night, because it's getting late and I'm tired. Okay, so it's probably hard to see, but there's a little black line right there at the top. Yeah, it's hard to see here. Kind of see it there. And that's the edge. Now, that's how you put that second angle on your blade. And I've ran that file down there, tried to stay consistent as possible. And, you know, you just keep an eye on that line and bring it back to that line. Now we have a nice, man, this feels really nice. It's very consistent. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Something really satisfying about doing shit by hand. Now, I already put a nice, it's got a sharp edge over here. Now I just need to take the file and run it down and put that final edge on there. A little bit narrower. This is 9 inch. I guess this will split a 9 inch diameter stator. This is 8 inch, but whatever. Still got the same depth, and I got the same angle here, and that profile there. It's a 3-step cut, and I'm really stoked, man. I think it came out great. Now, what I'm going to do is take this, and I'm going to cut a big piece of steel out of there, and drop that right in there. And since that's already tapered, I'll center that, and then wherever that comes, I'm pretty sure that is oh yeah, it's not even as thick, so that'll actually sit down inside, which is perfect. That way nothing catches, and then it'll actually just push and spread the things open even more. So that'll be just like that in there. So it'll actually start pushing that open really wide once it gets up in here. And I'll try to shave as much of this as possible on the side here so that it's a good angle. So I think it'll work. If it don't, oh well, it was a nice try, but I don't see why I wouldn't split something, you know. So I'll get back on this probably tomorrow. Okay, we're back at it. Man, I put a real nice edge on that blade. Anyway, so I'm gonna get set up. I got my center mark, so I re-verified the center. So we're gonna go off of this and just put that in there just about like that. And what's nice is it's already tapered, so I'll just put it down in there, and then just make sure that there's no snagging. If he splits a big, you know, something, I mean, if this thing even works, you know. Anyway. Got it prepped for welding. Now I'm no welder, but I know that the cleaner you got your metal, the better your welds are going to be. Now I got this so that it sits in there pretty good one way. Basically, I want to make sure that this is perfectly centered and perfectly parallel, meaning, you know, straight up and down with the rest of it. Because the straighter everything is, the easier it's going to go through and not bind. So now I'm glad I went with this way, because now you can see that that thing will just start pushing anything out once it gets up to there. So this being down in there like that is going to solve a lot of the issues. I was originally going to do it up here like this. I probably would have had to gusset it. Down in here, this thing's actually gussing itself, and this being down in there is going to strengthen all this from wanting to twist and warp and whatever. Hopefully it works. So I'm gonna get the machine out here and get a tack on this and start laying some weld. Okay, I took a break and went and ate dinner, but this is what we got. So first off, I started by clamping the blade in the vise, and then I squared it like this across this. And before I started, I cleaned this and ran the file across it. It's not super precise, but it was a good something to start with. So I squared it on there, clamped it in there, and then I put that in there, and then I squared this, right? And then I squared this one, and I moved it over until I got an equal measurement on both sides. And then I made sure this is square. The original thing, it's hard to see down there, but it's still square. I can get on it. These points are parallel, you know, they're right there. Okay, and these are even. So as these were squeezed, so that can't go anywhere, and these are the same, so these are exactly the same. And as I pushed it over and found out where I needed to be, it actually centered it. So I did two things with these. I centered it this way, and I'm making sure it's parallel this way. I don't know any easier way of doing it, but this is what I come up with. I just happen to have a whole, these are wood chipper blades. I just happen to have a whole bunch of these because we're going to build a homemade copper chopper with them. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put a bead down here, just a couple little tacks. I'm going to try to come in, actually I'm going to lower this down, and then I'll come in from the top and tack weld that, and then I'll let that kind of set up for a second, leave that tight, loosen this, and get in there and tack that side. And I think that's pretty good. That should hold it in there and get a good, true, you know, center on that, because you want everything to be as center and as straight as possible, so you're not doing nothing wonky when you're pushing that through. Okay, it's another day. It was getting late, and I just didn't feel like working anymore, so I got it tacked in there. It's pretty good. It looks pretty even. It looks pretty parallel, and as you can see from the side profile here, that wedge shape just goes right down in there. And bring this over here real quick. So basically this is how this will work. That goes up in there, and bam, you got yourself a big ass splitter. Now I'm gonna go ahead and fill this in, and then since this is really heavy and wanting to come off of here, I'm going to put a set screw in there so this can be locked down. Okay, there you go. Now, as you can see, I filled in that gap right there, so that's just going to be a smooth ramp when I'm done. I'm going to come back in here with the grinder, grind all that in, and then I'm going to drill a hole, tap it for a set screw, and then I'm going to cut a spacer, like a 3-inch spacer. Probably drill and tap that for a set screw. Okay, this is where we're at. It's looking pretty good. Got a nice smooth ramp right there. There's a couple gaps in here, but nothing's going to hit that stuff here. I guess I'll get in there while they still got the welder out and fill those gaps, because it'll look a lot nicer. And then I filled that in, and now I'll clean all that up and make that a nice smooth ramp like the other side. I probably should put a little bit more weld in there. Yeah, so all right, we'll get back at it. Okay, it's looking good, man. What I'm going to do now is drill a hole, tap it. I found some little set screws, and I'm going to drill a hole. I'm actually going to cut this. I think I'm going to give it 3 inches, so he can have an extension. And so I'm going to cut this, and then I'm actually going to drill and tap this as well. Okay, I kind of messed up when I cut this. I didn't realize how deep that plug, that's a solid piece of metal that goes inside that tube. And then there's a crimp here, and I figured it was right around here somewhere, but it's actually like all the way up into here. So when I cut it, it's only like 3/4 of an inch deep in here, which I really needed 2 inches. So that kind of screwed up the whole giving him a 3-inch spacer deal. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to clean this up and send it with it anyway. And if he actually needs a spacer, he can use this. But I'm going to go ahead and tap them both, and put these set screws in there. This won't fit all the way on, but as long as he's pressing straight down, he should be all right. The only thing I could really do is weld that back on there and then recut it up here. But who knows if I'm going to be able to get, I mean, I could weld it true, but if the inside, I'm going to have to get down in there real deep and clean that up. So, because this is a tight fit. I mean, that thing, that's kind of like, you know, not a machine fit, but it's, you know, it's in there. Okay, here we go. They're drilled, tapped, got the set screw. Now this one here, I actually took the set screw and ground it down, so when it starts touching, it's actually flush out here, so this thing could penetrate all the way through and not worry about damaging that screw. This one here I'm not worried about. This is just a case in emergency. He needs to push through a little bit more. I wouldn't recommend leaving this on because it doesn't have enough. I mean, I think it'll be good because it's just pushing straight down, but it doesn't have that side support like it should. It should have another 1.25 inches. But for what this is, he should just be able to put this in there and do most of the work. So what I'm going to do now is just clean up the inside of this hole, clean this up where that rust is, give this stuff a coat of paint, and then I took that grinder with a dull flappy paddle, and I tried to almost like polish this, So this is as smooth as possible. And I'm gonna, I went ahead and ground down that edge because I was feathering this back even more, trying to make it a little bit more consistent. So I'm gonna go ahead and put another edge on there, and then this thing's ready for paint. Okay, there you have it. So it's not perfect. You know, you can still see some gouges in it from when I was grinding, but I think I did pretty good. Replicated that blade as close as I can with just a scrap piece of steel, and I did everything by hand. There is a nice edge on that blade, okay? And the center line is just scribed there. There's a couple little lines you can't really feel them, but for something that I did by hand, I think it came out extremely well. Now I did not need to paint it, and obviously the first time he runs this down, it's going to scrape most of the paint off up in here. But you know, whatever. And I actually was going to do something to this that if I ever make another one, I'll do that too if I want to keep the paint on there. I was going to do something that would actually keep that paint nice and clean, but anyway, I made two extensions because I made the first one and I just wanted to give them a 3-inch extension, but the depth in there was only like 3/4 of an inch, and these things need to drop down in there 2 inches. So I made another one. This one's a little bit bigger. I think it was 4 inches. So I hope he's got enough stroke to retract it and, you know, put it in there. Whatever, he'll figure it out. But he's got 2 to choose from. I drilled and tapped. I did find 3 identical set screws. This one here I actually ground down so that when it's tight, it's actually recessed, and you could drive this down without shearing that off. You'd be able to split, put the extensions on, and just keep on splitting, you know. I put a little bit of motor oil on the blade. Now I do have an idea to harden that edge, and it has nothing to do with quenching or heat treating or none of that shit. You can actually very easily put a hardened edge on this, you know, I don't have the machine set up to do that at this time, but I will be here shortly. So I got the set screws, gonna come with an Allen key, some Loctite. Now that I made this, and if I was just gonna replicate it, just put 2 holes in it, I could have made this a lot faster. It was actually a lot of work trying to center this way, that way, and make sure that it was parallel with the way everything is. I mean, you know, that wasn't easy. Drilling 2 holes would have been much easier, but his setup, this is for a specific press that has a bottom that looks like that. The hardest things was that profile, keeping that right there, getting that consistent down. And I mean, it's close. It's not perfect. If you run your hand down there, you feel a little bit of waves. I could have got all them waves out with a file. I could have just sat here with a file and worked the high spots down, because you can see the high spots. You can use paint, put paint on there, and just work the high spots with a grinder and then finish it off with a file. But for what this is going to be doing and how much time I wanted to spend on it, this is great. And I think I did a great job at replicating the edge there. Those now this one definitely looks thinner all the way through, because it is. And if I had to do this again with this thickness of steel, I probably would have brought this wedge back another inch, because this is thinner, 4 inches. This is thicker and 4 inches, so it's a little steeper of an angle, but I think this is going to work great. There's a couple little blemishes in there from when I was doing the checkers with the grinder to get down. I kind of got deep in a couple spots, and I started getting it out of there, but I was like, I didn't want to make waves in it, so it's got a little bit of character to it. And that blade is sharp. I about cut my damn finger with it. So I'm gonna send this off to Romantic. I will leave the link to his YouTube in the description. Hopefully he can make some cool videos of splitting some stuff and see how this thing holds up. So hopefully here soon, I'm gonna be making another one bigger than that for myself. And I'm gonna do it on my milling machine. I could see mill marks on this where they milled it, and which would be a lot easier than what I did. This here is something I did by hand, and the reason I wanted to do this by hand, one, just to see if I could do it, and two, just to show people that you could replicate that. I paid $500 for that, and you could go out and probably buy a piece of steel plate like that for 40-50 bucks if you had to buy it new or whatever, I don't know. But you could make it, and stay tuned. I'm going to show you, as soon as I get the machine set up to do it, how to put a hardened edge on that. And you could keep putting it back on there. So anyway, I did that by hand. Wait till I got my milling machine fully up and operational and my lathe. I'm gonna show you some next level cool shit. Some of the projects I got coming up here, which the main reason I've been kind of stagnant on finishing this build here is because I need a milling machine and a lathe to make the parts, and that's pretty much 85, almost 90% ready to rock and roll. So while this project was going on, my channel hit 10,000 subscribers. I really appreciate every single one of you that subscribed to this channel. And for those of you who haven't subscribed to this channel, hit that subscribe button. I promise you, the best is yet to come with this channel. I'm just getting set up, and I'm just getting started. I'm gonna show you guys some cool shit, and show you how to make some real money.